Now, when it comes to music, we have all these lines that appear up on every music sheet. This is called the staff or the stave. Now, I can't remember which one's British or American, but I think the British guys would call it the stave. All right, so we have the staff and the stave. It is the exact same thing. Pick whichever one you want to call it. Now, on the staff, we have this weird squiggly thing right there. That is called a treble clef. All right, a treble clef or a G clef. It's the exact same thing. A treble clef or a G clef. So these 5 lines are called the staff, and this squiggly line on top of those lines is called the G clef or the treble clef. Now, the reason it's called the G clef is because it is circling a particular line, and that line is called the G note. Just keep that in your mind, all right? Now, on the staff, we have 5 lines, and we need to know that each of these lines has a particular note. So the bottom line is line number 1, and the top line is line number 5. So we count line number 1, line number 2, line number 3, line number 4, and line number 5. Let's do that again together. Line number 1, keep going. All right, now from line number 5, let's take it down. Line number 5, line number 4, line number 3, line number 2, line number 1. As long as you remember that the bottom line is line number 1 and the top line is line number 5, you're going to be good. Now, each of these lines has a particular name. We say every good boy deserves Fanta, or every good boy deserves fudge, or every good boy deserves fish. All right, as long as it starts with an F, pick whatever you want. Every good boy deserves Fanta. Again, every good boy deserves Fanta. Line number 1 is every. Line number 2 is good. Line number 3 is boy. Line number 4 is deserves. Line number 5 is Fanta. Okay? Every good boy deserves Fanta. Now, the way we'll know which line is which note is simple. We take the first letter of each of those words. So every, what's the first letter in every? E. Yeah. So E is line number 1. So line number 1 is the E note. Now, second line, line number 2 is good. What's the first letter in good? G. So that is why it's called a G line. That's why the G clef is called the G clef, because it's circling that G line. So our line number 1 is E for every. Line number 2 is G for good. Line number 3, what's the first letter in boy? Yeah, it's not an O, it's a B. All right, so line number 3 is B. Let's keep going. Line number 4 starts with deserves. What's the first letter in deserves? D. So line number 4 is a D. Line number 5 is Fanta. What's the first letter in Fanta? What's the first letter in fun, in fudge, and fish? It is a... Yeah, did you say Q? Yeah, it's an F. I'm watching you. All right, so line number 5 is an F. So line number 1, E for every. Line number 2, good. G for good. Line number 3, B for boy. Line number 4, D for deserves. Line number 5, F for fantastic. All right, good. Now, there's one last thing we need to be able to do. In between those lines, we have some spaces, and we don't want to ignore those. Each of those spaces are important, but we only have 4 spaces. Space number 1, space number 2, space number 3, and space number 4. Each of those spaces has a particular note, and this is how we remember it. If you forget what's in the space, smack your face. All right? So every space has a note. The first space, space number 1, has an F note. Okay? Space number 1 is F. Space number 2 is A. Space number 3 is C. And space number 4 is E. That spells face. So if you ever forget what's in the space, smack your face. and you'll always remember it. And if that doesn't help you, ask your neighbor, ask your sister, your brother, hey, I forgot what's in the space. And they'll say, come, let me help you. Oh, thank you, I remember, it is face. So F-A-C-E. Space number 1 is F, space number 2 is A, space number 3 is C, space number 4 is E. Now let's just put this all together. To remember what's on the lines, we say, every good boy deserves Fanta. To remember what's in the space, we say face, F-A-C-E. That is what you need to know to be able to read every note on the staff or the stave. Okay? So make sure you memorize that and have it in your head. The same way as if you have a best friend whose name is Charlie, you just know, hey, that's Charlie. You don't have to say, oh, wait, I remember his name had a C, then it had an I, then it had an E. It must be Jimmy. No, it doesn't work like that. You got to memorize his name. All right? So memorize those sentences, all the line notes, line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every good boy deserves Fanta. All the space notes, face, F-A-C-E. Okay? So I'm going to point out at a couple of lines, and I want you to tell me what note is that particular line. So starting off here, what note is that? E, correct, because it's on line number 1. What about this one? It's on the 5th line. What note is that? F, because that's Fanta, correct. Now, what about this middle line, the 3rd line? What note is that? Every good boy, B, it's a B note. Let's try some in the spaces. Remember, for the space, you want to use face. This is on space number 2. What note is that? Let's check it. F, A. It is a A note. Let's try another one. If we're on the 4th space, what note is that? Correct. That is a E note. All right, so the 4th space is an E note. What about if you're in the 3rd space? What note is that? F, A, C. That is a C note. Okay? So line notes are different from space notes. Line notes use every good boy deserves Fanta. Space notes use face. Okay? If you can remember that, everything will become so much easier. Now let's put everything we've done together in this first lesson where we're trying to learn the language of music. The first thing we went through are our types of notes. We have our crotchet or our quarter note. What do we say when we see a crotchet or quarter note? We say ta. All right? Clap your hands as well when you're doing it. I forgot to mention that. Make sure you clap your hands. So ta. All right? When you see a quarter note or a crotchet. When you see a half note or a minim, what do you say? Ta, ah. All right, notice how I didn't go ta, ta. I went ta, stick my hands together and say the next one, ah. Ta, ah. All right, that's what you say when you see a minim. So, quarter note, ta. Minim, ta, ah. Then we have the big fat note that eats up everything, that looks like a stomach. It's called a whole note or semibreve, and it gets 4 beats. Let's say it together. Ready? Go. Ta, ah, ah, ah. Notice how my hands were stuck for that. Let's do it again together. Say it. Ta, ah, ah, ah. So those are our 3 types of notes. And then we learned how to read the notes on the staff. The bottom line, line number 1 is every. Line number 2 is good. Line number 3 is boy. Line number 4 is deserves. Line number 5 is Fanta. And then the space notes, if you forget what's in the space, hit your face. F-A-C-E. Memorize that. Watch this over again if there was something you're unsure of, because we're going to need it in our next lesson. It's been great seeing you in your first lesson, learning the language of music, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye for now.